Actually, this writing abstract and introduction is based on my experience as a lecturer and also writing journal and books, as well as I'm doing supervision for my PhD student. So definition, thank you for the information. So I try to give my best. Okay, first we would like to define what is the abstract. The definition of abstract. Okay, better. So I look at the Merriam-Webster. Okay, at least I have to find the reference, the definition of abstract. Okay, so another one is based on my experience and my point of view. What should be the content of the abstract and what is the meaning of the abstract? I have about more than 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes to give this lecture on writing abstract and introduction. Abstracts. So when we look to the abstract, abstract means to summarize. Okay, there are many sentences that we're going to have in our writing. So abstract is, the role of the abstract is to summarize. So what to summarize? So this is the question. Always we would like to know what we're going to summarize. So once we understand what to be summarized, easy for us to understand how to write the abstract. So abstract, I'm not going to give the PowerPoint way. I think better using the Microsoft Word way, because you write also in the Microsoft Word, your article of your journal papers. So the abstract is to make a summary, but to draw the reader's attention. That is the role of abstract. Okay? It's a summary of writing, but it's not only a summary, but the content of the writing of this summary should draw the reader's attention. Also should draw the publisher attention. Okay, when we look to the readers, it also include the publisher who going to publish our work. After they look to the journal title, because it's also create the attention, whether it's valuable, worth to publish your journal paper. Okay. Most importantly is understand that the summary that we're going to summarize the writing of the sentences should draw attention to the readers. Okay. So what attention going to be important for the readers? Okay. So another one, what is the category of the readers? What category? When we write a journal paper, the category first we apply to the journal editors. Each journal, they have editors. Some famous journal like Elsevier, the Springer, in one journal, they have many editors. Maybe one of the editors contact us as a reviewers. So they draw attention to the readers, so that after we submit our journal paper, first, always the editor will look to the title, and then the second one to the abstract. Maybe because the editors, okay, the editors, they are also very busy, like us, okay, including myself, very busy. We don't have time, actually, to read all the works of the full paper, okay, all the sentences. First, we look to the abstract in order to decide, is it worth for publication or not. The level of the priority that should be prioritized by the editors, always they look to what is the contribution of this paper. So they look first to the abstract. So the reader attention is very important. So many of us including me, also experience when we submit the paper. Sometimes we think it's good, but suddenly we got a very sad result. Okay, many times if you ask, even though professor, associate professor, even though emeritus professor, even though they have already graduated, many PhD students under his or her supervision, always also get a letter say, sorry, your works, your journal papers, that your articles is not accepted. Okay, even though they still not give to the reviewers for their further action, is decided by the editors. They always say it's not related to our journal team, for example. Okay, because they receive many journal, especially today, because the university in all over the world are competing to have better, what we call it, the better ranking in terms of the world level. So one of the important evaluation is the publication of the journal papers. Okay, that is for the university. The same also to the faculty, also concerned about that. And the most important is us as a researcher, as a lecturer, as a postgraduate, that we are going to be the academician. Mostly, we will commit in most of our works to progress ourselves is by writing the papers. So, it's part of, like a bread and butter, part of our life is writing papers, because this is part of our career. So to get the reader's attention is very important. So abstract is a summary of point as for a writing. So usually presented in journal writing, and also something that summarizes the essential things of the larger things. So we want to give right to publish and to establish, okay, and to disseminate the ideas about our research work, okay. And then in the abstract, we should be very careful when we write, should be a summary of points which are essential, okay, which draw the reader's attention. So what actually their attention, okay, what actually mostly in order to publish in the good journal, what is attention of the journal during this day? Maybe COVID-19, maybe the attention for today's work. So maybe any of the publication very important in a way, have some sort of a relationship relate to the development of any of research related to COVID-19. So journal. For me, journal is a mini thesis. In the thesis, when we write the thesis for PhD or MSc by research, commonly we have 2 or 3 or 4 research objectives. Okay, so the research objective for the journal, because journal only, article only have about 10 pages, 15 pages, the number is very limited. So we limit always the journal to only one objective, okay, which comprise a summary of journal, article tables of content as follow. I think you have been briefed before this under title and the content of the journal paper before my lecture on writing abstract and introduction. So, as you know, in the journal article, the typically have table of content as follows. We have introduction after abstract and title. The second one, we have literature review. The third one, we have research method. Fourth, result of analysis. Then we have a discussion and conclusion. So from all of these subheading in journal article will be summarized to abstract. So we will be summarized to abstract. So all of this will indicate in the abstract all of these mini theses. So what we need to have is the essential of the larger thing. What is the larger thing? The table content of all this in the journal articles. So it's very important for us to make sure that we choose the right words and sentences to be included in the abstract. So the reader's attention. Always the reader's attention is the significance of the study. Okay, why the study is conducted, how important is the study to contribute, okay, to the knowledge, for example, to the knowledge, and what is the uniqueness of the research approach. So this, I think, three important factor is among the factors which should be highlighted in the content in the abstract. Okay. Because there are many submissions by other researchers and academicians as well as professionals in journal publication, so they are very selective. So the most important is what is the importance of the study and how is great uniqueness and knowledge contribution. But this one is quite also what we call it, there is not really a recipe because different field has different focus of the reader's attention. Some field might be slightly easier for publication because it is their, what we call it, the norm of this, the norm of this field, the publication of the research article is very important. Some maybe like in architecture, we have a bit, like me, graduate in architecture and do a research in architecture, might be the significance is more toward studio project, for example. So a bit challenging, okay, compared to who has more statistics, data, or more toward sciences. Your science, for example, they have more opportunity to be involved in the research, and then more opportunity to have publication in the journal. So that one is very complicated, okay, in terms of the way that depend on the field that we going to have involved in our research, which platform. For example, if in architecture there are certain platforms which are quite become the reader attention. For example, the universal design, for example, or aging society, maybe a research, something like that. There are many research grant offered, okay, or something related to COVID-19. So that one is depend on what is our interest in our research, okay, also count. And also the other one, the important in terms of in the society today. Sometimes we think it's important for us, but in terms of view from the people who give the research grant, who give also selection of the journal article from publisher by the editors, also important. Okay, so commonly, what is commonly? Okay, after we write the abstract, we have the keywords. Okay, so always when I do any of my seminar paper to my student, I create a guide to write a full paper, the journal article. Always I have a table, something like this, and then we guide the student, okay, to write the title. Is it they have done or not? So this is more about the structure of writing a full paper or journal article. So under abstract, okay, after we write the title, say so the title should be also that I already informed to you, should create the reader attention and etc. of the larger things, because we write the mini thesis. So once we have the title, okay, title is not part of my lecture today, we go to abstract. So under abstract, always abstract count about minimum 150 to 200 words. Okay, we not write a very long abstract because it's only the summary. But very important, because most people, when they read, they look to the title, like we read the newspaper. When we read the newspaper, we look to the headline. Or we have digital newspaper today, we look to the headline. If, for example, COVID-19 today, okay, how many got COVID today? Positive. 10,000. So we start become attention to us. Okay, so the same also for the abstract. First, title. After the title, we look to the content. Okay, to understand what actually the writers or the author want to deliver his message of his journal article, his or her journal article. So the abstract usually contain 150 to maximum 200 words. Don't write too many, because it's too many, you not consider anymore as an abstract. So because the reader doesn't have time to read. First, because they have many articles to read, so they're going to be very selective. So they're going to select something which get attention to their mind only. So please understand that, okay? Write according to the to this range from 150 to 200 words. So always the abstract contain of introduction, and it also have literature review, and during this literature review have also case study, methodology that we have part of the abstract contents, results, and conclusion. Okay, is similar also if we look to the content of the journal article. Okay, the article have introduction, literature review, research method, result of analysis, and discussion. And last one, conclusion. After that, we have references. Okay, we go back to abstract. So after the abstract, as I told you before, we always have plus minus 5 keyword. But this keyword should not be words from the title of your articles. So if you do the same keyword, the word from the title of your article, it should be repetitive. Okay? So it should be different words. Under introduction, okay, compared to abstract, introduction is to introduce the journal article. And the content should have plus minus minimum 250 and to maximum 500 words. It's about 2/3 of the page. Can be half to 2/3 of the page. When we write the introduction, it is important for us to introduce the keywords. So we need to really make sure the keyword that we write after the abstract is important, which can be used to explain in writing as a background of the study, the keywords, because this keyword will be related later, okay, to the factors that we're going to measure, okay, and also the scale measurement that we're going to measure later in the research method and result of analysis. So selection of the keyword, very, very important. First, background of the study is important because we need to clarify in writing what is the background about the study, okay, about the research study, what type of research. The answer over here is to introduce of what. What is the meaning of keywords? What is the information, the background of the keywords? So, in this introduction, also important to introduce the keyword supported with citation, with references, okay, in order to support the background of the study of your research. What the important? Okay, what is the important? Very important to have the citation. So references is very important to also to show the knowledge of the researcher about the background of the study from the title that he or she choose and from the keyword which related to his research. The next one, once you got able to explain the background of the study, you need to explain further from the background of the study, okay, because later the background will raise the issues or problem statement. Why choose this research study? So you need to write about the issue behind the study of this background in order for you. Yes. Please, what is your name? Do you want me to clarify first and later we will have a Q&A? Okay. So from there, it actually is similar to the thesis. Okay, but that's why I told you before, I regard journal article is a mini thesis. Okay, but focus only to one objective. So the important to conduct the research, okay, the important to conduct of research is very important. Should have the issues. Because there are certain examiners, okay, or reviewers, he looks this part important. Some not really. So it's very subjective because we are human beings. Some of the several reviewers, they only look to the structure of the thesis of the journal article. Several of them, they look to this aspect, the problem statement, and how it's related to the background of the study. Should be an issue. Without issue, no research. Okay, no journal article. So the tendency for them going to reject the journal article, or if you write the thesis, they're going to reject the thesis. So it's quite subjective on this. That's why sometimes we can't say it's a luck. Okay, but to make sure, okay, to make sure our journal article will be great attention to the readers, to the reviewers, to the editors, to the publics. We need to identify over here sentences that what is the issues, what is the statement of the problem here, why we do the research study. Very important because the higher journal level, they will more extensively look to this aspect. And not only write the issues, problem statement, but with citation. That means the reader, the researcher have the knowledge behind the issues with many citations to support the arguments. The next one. From the issues, problem statement, it will raise the question, okay, which create the research objective. Always, we need to have to tie, to link all the question that raised in the journal article come up with from the issue that have been raised before. Okay, before we have the research question, we have the issue. Sometimes we don't need to write the research question, okay, but mostly we write directly, we write the research objective. So objective is something to answer the issue behind that. Okay, what is the answer, the answer of this research objectives? Because it has been raised from the issue from in the problem statement. So very important for us to have that in order to make sure our journal article that we write have the importance, significance, and attention to the readers. And they know, because all of the readers should be, when we do a research paper, they are coming from the same research background, okay, from the same background. We are from project management, for example, like Mr. Salman, the person who we read, his work will be coming from the same field. So every field have different thing, the essential things which important for them, okay, in their present time. So That one, we're not quite sure because sometimes, for example, you are from project management, but you submit to other field, for example. You go to business, okay, field. So they have a different attention, for example, that we're not really so sure what is their attention. Another one, for example, I'm from architecture. Many times, because in architecture, there are not many journal article we have a very high level. Sometimes they write journal architectural heritage, but when we look at go to the journal, for example, journal of architecture heritage, actually the meaning of architectural heritage is more related to civil engineers because they do more about the research on heritage of conservation, more toward construction, how to construct to restore the building, restoration. It looks like architecture, when we look in the first glance, the general title, okay, actually, when we look to the theme, okay, and to the content of the journal, what is actually their concern on their publication is more toward construction. So sometimes a bit confusion, okay, when we look to the journal title. So we need to look also to the theme. So very important. Even though we have a very good introduction, okay, but selection of the journal is so important when we do any of submission. So the journal level has many type of levels. So you know there are level in the Elsevier itself. They have Q1, Q2, okay, has a JCR, has ESCI, has non-index or whatever. So each level, when you go to higher level, that means they have the more higher readers' attention of their field. So once we have the problem statement, we always, in the introduction, we write the research objective. Because later this research objective, we're going to answer in the conclusion after we have findings. So what is the answer? Okay. So you need to answer in the conclusion. So over here is like we promise. Okay, from the issue, we want to find the solution. So the solution is our objective. So from this objective, this is what always we write in the introduction. Lastly, in order to make sure other readers or reviewers or editors they also will value us as an author about our knowledge in this field. So we need to have argument supported also with references from the past related study to show that this study is significant. So this is what always the content in the introduction. Okay, so the important focus over here is to deliver the message in the introduction that the study conducted over here and the writing here in the introduction to show that this is important. So the level of importance actually supported by references. So good writers, they have a very good references. Okay, that one also depend on the field. Some field, they accept references which are not up to date. The maybe references which are 20 years, 30 years, published in the other journal before, uh, is important to be highlighted, especially if related to heritage, to the history, okay, example. But for the current research study, more towards sciences like thermal comfort, daylighting, the most appropriate references to support that the study is significant in the introduction should be will be the most current one, okay, because that one may be related to technology. So many of the journal article, they are more like to have references up to date. Okay, not many journal which are what we call is more towards what you call like more art oriented research type. Okay, so architecture be in between. We have architecture and science. Okay, okay, seni bina. In Malay word means seni bina, construction, art of construction. So if we look to the art, should be the past, okay, very long, old references important. But we look to the construction, the other side can be only refer to the up-to-date journal article that should be used as the references. So I would like to highlight again, in my part, content is abstract. So under abstract, you need to write, introduce the article. Okay. So what you need to introduce, you introduce the significance of the study. Okay. And then you have the literature review. You need to show the knowledge. Okay. The knowledge which is to show the support the significance of the study, and then later methodology. Okay. Is it your methodology is unique in order to get the result of analysis? Is it the right one? Okay, after that, the most important is finding and contribution. Okay, is it common or not common? So the conclusion, actually, the part, I think, what always looking by the readers. So they want to know what the solution, the finding, the answer. So what is the contribution to the knowledge of the study? Is it to create a pattern? Is it to create the additional knowledge which are before not available? Okay, is it a new way in terms of things that we have done the research? From our research, we contribute something is new or addition of the additional knowledge. So that is become among the main factors. Okay, I think the most important in terms of always when the readers look to the abstract, because abstract looks to the reader attention and essential of the larger things. I think that's all of my discussion today as a guest lecture. So what I'm doing here, I always do the checklist. Okay, I'm doing the checklist. So if my class, I develop my checklist to my student, because my student only is a postgraduate by coursework. So they have only 15 weeks. From the 15 weeks, they only have 10 weeks or 9 weeks to do, right? So always we do a guide. So every semester, every year, okay, from year to year, we try to give our best guide, and this is part of the rubric for us to do marking. So in order to develop for them to understand, for example, here the urban design class. So we try to create a checklist so easier for them to later to create a seminar paper. Okay, so this will develop according to the comment by the reviewers. Okay, when we have or comment by external examiner when they come to USM in architecture program, or even by the panels from architecture box, or by MQA if they have any of the suggestion proposal, and we find that it is useful, so we will put in the checklist. That is what I'm doing right now. Okay, for the course, that the assignment is the seminar paper, referencing system. So that is what I try to do my best lah. Okay, with my colleagues. So this is the more general thing that I think appropriate for this as a guest lecture for this event.